Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Eccentric Mind Podcast with George Hernandez. Thank you so much for tuning in. Just a heads up, I'm completely sick, and I have been for the past since Saturday, and it's Thursday, so I think I'm slowly coming out of it. I took a nice warm shower, and I feel pretty good. But honestly, I just wanted to talk about the whole innocence versus niceness thing that I've been talking about recently. And essentially, the reason why I bring it up is because I had a pillar and a point of pure niceness to everyone. Girls, guys, individuals who I wanted to be homies with. Just didn't work just because of the way I was acting. So niceness, if you're not really aware with it, niceness is some sort of disease that a lot of young men get, or honestly, I would probably say men do get in general. Is the reason why they call it niceness is because when you're nice, you're capable of being malleable. And what malleable means is you're capable of being merged and transformed and turned into something else. You're not set in stone. You're malleable. And that's exactly what niceness is. So if somebody, for example, let's say somebody's really into Detroit Lions, and they're your friend and they're constantly talking to you about football, but you don't really watch football. But because they're constantly talking about the Lions, you then become a Lions fan. So get this, so they can like you. And when as functioning as a nice person, being liked is the most important thing that can possibly happen for you, because if they like you, then they're not likely to leave you. And one of the biggest fears of nice guys is that they're terrified of being left. They don't want to be abandoned, or they have been abandoned before. So they put on these different masks so that way they can be liked and perceived as someone to like by other people, because other people make them feel safe. They don't know enough about themselves to feel secure in their own world. So they just need other people around them in order to validate them, give them attention, show them that they're meaningful and that they are important. And the reason why I bring it up innocence is because innocence is completely different, even though it might sound contradictory because they're relative to one another. But if you really look at somebody who's innocent, look at the traits of somebody who's innocent and look at the traits of somebody who's nice. If you look at somebody who is innocent, you probably think they go to bed at 9 p.m. They decide not to stay up late before a school night. They decide to stay in at 6 p.m. and read a book rather than going out and hanging out with their friends. They decide not to drink when they're at certain parties because they're innocent. But that in and of itself, innocence, there's something that was breeded within them that allowed them to take those actions and not take other actions that other people bestow upon them. So what I mean by that is, if I'm innocent, for example, and you tell me, hey, George, take this drink of alcohol, I'm going to tell you no, because there are certain actions I partake in, and then there are other actions that I do not partake in. And I'm not uncomfortable in telling you, no, I don't want to drink. However, for the nice individual, they will tell you they can be thinking no, but their biggest fear is telling other people no. Why? Because they're afraid that if they tell them no, then they're not going to be liked by that individual. So rather than trying to be nice to everyone, I'm not telling you to go out and be some jackass or, be a complete jerk to individuals, or I'm not telling you that at all. I'm telling you to be very, very careful with who you're nice to, but also, if you are overtly nice, consider yourself a couple questions. Why am I acting this way? Am I acting this way to be liked by this individual? When I say no, do I stand on my own ground and don't get what is that called? And I don't get influenced by other people. If I say no, but they keep going back and back, come on, George, do I stand still on my no? Or after my first no, I then invite them to try and get me to say yes. So really just figure that out for yourself. The way to really get good at it, the way to start telling people no, is really, honestly, just start taking care of yourself and become a little bit more self-aware as an individual. There's a lot of things that you can partake in. Normally, I've been reading 7 Habits for Effective, Stephen Covey. This really good book. I like even though I haven't reached the chapter yet, there's something called Unseen Victories, or secret victories, something along the lines of that. And I think that's arguably one of the more important facets to become self-aware. I think more often than not, we want to be validated by other people, hence why we're so nice. However, we're seeking external validation from other people rather than within ourselves. So instead of choosing and opting to go out and find people that can fill that void within you, rather go out and compete against yourself. Because I've talked about this before, but the mind is so utterly fascinating that it will come up with excuses telling you to not go to Starbucks at 8 a.m. to write on your book. It will come up with excuses telling you that you're not healthy enough to go to the gym at the time you normally go. It will tell you that you're not socially prepared to go to the party, or socially prepared to do this and do that. It's going to come up with a lot of individualistic, heart-to-heart, relatable, and rational excuses that will get you to say, no, I'm not going to do this. However, the public or the private victories that nobody else sees are the ones when you overcome those hurdles. And it's all about stringing those days as much as you can. On Monday you did this. On Tuesday you went to the Starbucks to write. On Wednesday you decided to go to the gym even though you didn't want to go on Friday, right? Like, it's just taking those mental leaps over the perceived walls that are coming at you. And if you can really overcome those, then that's when self-confidence starts to become a part of you. That's when you become more socially aware and more self-aware about yourself and what it is that you're capable of. But also, in the meantime, you start building up priorities. You build up a priority list. So if like Jenny invites you to go mini roller skating on a Thursday afternoon, but you're going to hit the gym on Thursday, well, that's an easy time to put in the practice and put in that target practice of saying no, and over time you start to realize that the more you start telling people no, the less they care. And I've also been realizing myself, if you're honest and if you're saying no when you want to say no, at that moment, yes, it sucks, it's uncomfortable, it's a little embarrassing. However, over a course of time, when you start telling people a certain thing, they know you mean it. They know you're being truthful. And as a result of telling people no and getting past that little hurdle and that embarrassment, you gain their respect for being solidified in your own self. And I think that's what a lot of people really truly want and cherish, is when someone is completely authentic in their own skin. Dr. Robert Glover, so he says a really good quote. A man is having fun while he gets there. And the reason why I kind of know this is because the book that I read by him, it put me onto a lot. And yeah, it really helped me get over my fear of saying no, but also my incessant need to be liked by being nice to other people who I don't really care for enough anyway to be their friend. But Dr. Robert Glover says this really good quote, and he says, it's the 3 essences of being a man. 1, he's comfortable in his own skin. He knows where he's going. and he has fun while he's getting there. And that just, I love that. That's what a lot of individuals want. They want someone who is solidified doing those three essences, who's solidified in those three essences. And if you're capable of getting to that point, it's one of true bliss. Even though you do need to get over some hurdles at the beginning, it's so worth it. So that was today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. I'm coming back, sorta. I've been doing a lot of things. I've been writing like crazy. The more and more I write, the more I realize that my writing is actually pretty good, and it's very sound, and it's sort of, there's so much wisdom in it that I reread it and I'm like dumbfounded and surprised at what has been able to come out of me in writing. And I'm just really excited for what's to come. Yeah, man, that was pretty. You know what? There's one. No, we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed. This has been the Eccentric Mind Podcast with George Hernandez, and I hope you have a fantastic day.